Hi there, Rad Mom here. Welcome back to the channel, where this week we are clarifying our mission. This video has been a long time coming. As you may still be able to hear, I've been sick lately, but I was not going to let that stop me. The incoming administration is, well...
The Trump campaign is willing to work very closely with people who believe that Christians should rule the country. It's an out-in-the-open attempt to install explicitly Christian leadership into the White House, into the courts, and into all branches of the government.
Horrifying throwbacks that would make my grandpa blush? It's scary stuff, but once I started looking into it, I just kept finding more and more, and even a little bit of inspiration.
J.D. Vance is a personal friend of mine. I was there when he came into the Catholic Church. He invited me up for that. I believe he's a sincere pro-lifer. The American people are not with us pro-lifers. We have a lot of work to do, of education and of conversion to do.
People like Rod Dare, a pro-lifer who believes that the church needs to focus on converting people, are in J.D. Vance's close circle of friends.
It's clear that they see J.D. Vance as someone who will help further their vision of a country that puts Christianity above all else.
J.D. Vance, of course, being the incoming Vice President of the United States. You know, a heartbeat away from the highest office.
As my colleague Kira Butler has reported, J.D. Vance exists in this tangled web of Christian influencers, investors, and activists who are pushing the country to their liking.
So the Theobros are a group of mostly millennial Christian pastors and influencers.
Vance continuing to fraternize with these nationalist characters and Trump's continued inclusion of his spiritual advisor, Paula White, who is also a member of the New Apostolic Reformation.
When I walk on White House grounds, God walks on White House grounds.
To say no to President Trump would be saying no to God.
It's clear that actual Christian nationalism is their platform. And if put in the White House, it's their vision of Jesus-centered politics above all else.
Life's biggest questions, the questions that really matter, are questions that are best answered by the Christian faith.
Okay, we should all be concerned about that, right? But why does it concern yours truly? Why does feminism care about this?
If you asked some of these guys where the women were, they would say they're at home, like taking care of the kids.
Godly women want to feed their men. Godly women are designed to make the sandwiches. When women were granted the right to vote, we were so muddled we thought we were giving the franchise to women when we were in fact taking it away from families.
And just for the record, I think the 19th Amendment should be repealed. I think that because, well, first and foremost, because I'm a Christian. If we had a Christian nation and women could vote, then within 50 years we would no longer have a Christian nation.
They don't think that women should be in leadership roles. They don't think that women should be out there voicing their opinions.
Because they sure are concerned about us.
As we already know, Vance holds very particular views on gender.
If you bought into an idea that it's liberating to leave an 8-week-old baby to go work 90 hours a week at Goldman Sachs, you've been had.
And this is the weak spot, right? I've been talking about this for a long time because, yeah, at best, the number of women who will thrive under those circumstances is vanishingly small. A woman's life contains choices and drives that a man's does not, and feminism has utterly failed to construct for us any kind of alternative framework for this.
You have women who think that truly the liberationist path is to spend 90 hours a week working in a cubicle at McKinsey instead of starting a family and having children.
Yeah, we've been sold a masculine-coded perspective on liberation for generations. That's the co-option of feminism in mainstream culture. He's arguing against a straw man, one that's been brought to life by decades of bad philosophy.
To me, what it is sort of a value system to replace the fact that they're all fundamentally atheist or agnostic.
Nope, neither. You sure wish it was that simple, though, don't you?
The people who are most deranged and most psychotic are people who don't have kids.
Wrong again. I have 4. I wonder what it is that stops me from remotely even beginning to consider the idea of coming into agreement with y'all. But this is actually kind of old news about the Trump administration, right? A lot of us have caught on to this already. I know I'm kind of late to the party on that one, but the Fed is kind of far away. And anyway, it's full of checks and balances, right? No way they're going to get too far with this unconstitutional, ahistorical, bigoted nonsense, right? Well, here's hoping, but they may not have to. Wait until you see what I found going on right down the road from me.
Christian nationalists who want to turn a small Middle Tennessee community into their base of operations, hoping to attract others from around the country.
They are a group who says they want to go back to an America before the civil rights movement. Their desire is to deport legal immigrants even if they became U.S. citizens decades ago.
And they want to put women back to where they think they belong. Our chief investigative reporter, Phil Williams, has been investigating this effort for 3 months. And Phil, you found that longtime residents didn't even know this was happening.
That is precisely the case. This has very much been developing under the radar.
But only just.
Basically, they invite some of the worst neo-Nazi hate groups into this park every single year.
Here at Montgomery Bell State Park, the tranquility of a fall afternoon was interrupted by the sounds of protest.
No Nazis, no KKK, no fascist USA.
By a small group of anti-fascists upset over the return of the white supremacist American Renaissance Conference, an annual event that's been held here at the park's Lodge and Conference Center since 2012.
We're out here to make a statement. Don't ever come back here again.
We're about to head over to the conference center and talk to the man who's leading all of this. Mr. Taylor, hi, Phil Williams. At the main entrance, we were allowed inside.
This is very important.
Sure, okay.
Absolutely. Very important. These people can lose their jobs.
Sure, absolutely.
The girlfriends can jilt them. I mean, that's the kind of society we live in.
Under the condition that we not take video of any of the participants' faces.
And your critics say you use being smart, being intellectual as a cover for racism.
What is racism, for heaven's sake? Racism,
do you not know what racism is?
Well, nobody can really define it in any sensible, consistent way.
Prejudice against somebody because of their race. But I don't need to define it because these guys always do such an amazing job of illustrating just exactly what it is that we're worried about, don't they?
The two Christian nationalists denounced the efforts of civil rights leader Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement in general, with Ingalls saying you cannot have both MLK and Heritage America, and Isker declaring we should turn civil rights back to the states. They celebrate images of whites-only diners in the 50s, with Ingalls proclaiming the 1960s ruined everything, and they mock historical incidents like the kidnapping and lynching of 14-year-old Emmett Till. Yet they dismiss any criticism as people taking them too seriously.
So too are Isker's objections to the Civil Rights Act, his dismissiveness of the Emmett Till murder, and the broader racial views. Yeah. Well,
where's the joke, my dude?
That's funny. That's funny because that whole controversy was like entirely a meme controversy.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, come on, man. Like, Anyway.
Yeah. You get in trouble for having fun.
There is only one way you could see anything fun about lynchings.
What's the difference between what's happening here and a KKK rally?
I've never been to a KKK rally. I couldn't tell you.
You may insert your own joke here. This guy looks every bit like the white supremacist snake that he is, doesn't he? Oh my gosh.
When I pressed Taylor on how he and others at the conference would separate the races.
If you want that white-only land, why don't you go find somewhere else to live?
What do you mean find someplace else?
Where do you want the people of color to go?
I don't want them to go anywhere.
Oh, he doesn't want them to go anywhere. Yikes. What do y'all think he wants them to do? Yikes. Since 2012, they've been meeting here in this park in Tennessee, y'all. Since 2012.
He was short on specifics.
So it sounds like you're advocating for something that you have no idea how it would work.
Oh, I have a good idea how it would work.
He just doesn't want to say it out loud.
You just told me you didn't.
Well, the practicalities of it. I think it's entirely possible that an American state might secede.
Excuse you?
In fact, their rhetoric...
They do hate us. They hate white Christian men, period. End of story.
...is reminiscent of this scene.
They hate white men!
Where neo-Nazis took to the streets of Nashville earlier this year.
I'm sorry about that. That clip makes me flinch every time, but I needed to include it to illustrate for y'all. Yeah, this is all the same ideology That's who these people are.
Although they dress up their ideas with intellectual buzzwords and call it Christian. And they hope that about 90 minutes northeast of Nashville, tiny Jackson County will welcome their controversial ideas of what it means to be an American.
We're building a community there.
Leading the way are podcasters Andrew Isker, a right-wing pastor from Minnesota, and CJ Engel, who recently moved to the area from Northern California.
But it turns out Jackson County is not the easy mark that it might appear to be, which just goes to show what I've been saying all along. Tennessee is not as culturally conservative as their voting record would have you believe.
Have these Christian nationalist podcasters, these developers, tried to have a meeting like this to sit down and answer your questions?
They're wolf in sheep's clothing.
No, not really. These guys are just straight up wolves, thinking they're the heroes of their own story.
Like all of our heroes were way more racist than we're allowed to be today.
Together, the pair host what they bill as the #1 Christian nationalist podcast in the world.
God made men to rule, period. That's the world God made. If you don't like it, take it up with him.
And here in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, Isker and Engel hope to make a new home in a place where most everybody looks like them and thinks like them.
So the question is there room for like-minded Christians and patriots in Tennessee? Yes, there's an imperative for like-minded Christians to gather and fight with us. Like, we need Christian nationalism in one state. Like, that's what we need.
And they picked mine.
I'd love to speak to that. That makes me mad.
Here along the line with Macon County, one of the developers has bought up 500 acres in these rolling Tennessee hills. It's not clear exactly what he intends to do with all this land.
We're building a town.
But just a few minutes down that same road, just across from the Jackson County High School, a separate business entity has purchased another 100 acres that they are apparently planning to develop. And they've announced that Gainesboro, the Jackson County seat, will be the focus of their efforts to resettle like-minded people from around the country.
Having Christian nations on American soil. Yep, that's ours too. We'll take it. Right? Restoring American identity, right? American, like heritage American identity. That's good.
But what is American heritage anyway, really?
People from all different walks of life, genealogies, nationalities, race, you name it. We have got a melting pot right here in this small town, all working together to make this town come back to life.
This is our American heritage. All of us coming together to breathe life into our community. One giant found family. That's what the American experiment is all about. And it seems like these guys are rejecting their true heritage because they don't like it.
What is it you're afraid of losing?
I don't want to lose what we already have. The sense of community.
It is a very welcoming community, but I think they kind of came in under the radar and want to recreate it in their own image.
And they're serious about it too. Like, as it stands, Congress shall make no law regarding the establishment of religion, right? But these guys are working to get the representatives they need in order to steamroll all that.
Forgive the background noise. I'm actually here at a watch party with the Jackson County GOP.
On election night, the podcasters monitored the results from Gainesboro, with the real estate developer behind the project, Josh Abatoy, doing a live report from a local watch party that he had hosted. One of their podcast buddies also set up an account on X, formerly Twitter, that claimed to represent the views of the local Republican Party. It said it was the official account of the Jackson County GOP.
But it was not.
Party Chair Bo Smith learned about the account from News Channel 5 Investigates. We also showed him where Engel had tweeted that the best way forward for Christian nationalists is to take over local-level outlets of the Republican Party. As Isker and Engel see it, this endeavor isn't just about moving to a place where the people look and think like them. They also imagine creating a political force that has an impact on communities like Gainesboro, eventually extending their reach statewide.
If you have towns like ours that we're going to be building,
right? Where there are a lot of people that are very politically motivated and very well organized, right? You can have as much influence as one of the big cities in Tennessee.
Hello and welcome to Contra Modem. It is election night. It's the big night. Welcome, everyone.
And on election night, the pair hosted a nearly 9-hour podcast from Gainesboro.
Oh, there he is.
No, he's on.
He's on. He's live.
There I am. Hey.
Hello.
Bringing in some of the biggest names from the Christian nationalist community.
This is Charles's moment. Charles, welcome to the 2024 election.
With one suggesting that Donald Trump's strong showing.
I mean, if he does that, then, Red Caesar, mandate from heaven, rock and roll, let's go.
Might clear the way for the authoritarian Red Caesar they hope will rise.
So that's not going to happen, especially now due to your reporting. We're thankful for that. And, knowing these people are in our community is a big deal.
What is it you would like for these people coming in from out of state to know? What message would you have for these people?
This town is not for them.
Bigotry's not going
No, it's not going to.
We're not that community, and we don't want to be a part of a racial hate community.
God need men to rule, period.
Then there are their views on women and how they detest the specific impact of college-educated white women on the culture of the world they see around them.
So really, these guys are coming at me. College-educated white women, huh? All right. You want to be my enemy? Let's do this.
These people's views do not represent our community. And if they think they're going to come in here and take over and force their views on everybody else, they're going to have a fight on their hands.
As for what these Christian nationalists hope to plant here amid the beauty of rural Middle Tennessee, these pastors say what they see is not American, nor is it Christian.
You have done nothing but disguised white supremacy in the guise of Christian nationalism. So call it what it is. It's white supremacy. It's not nothing Christian about it. So when I hear people talk about Jesus and their Jesus does not invite people to the table of grace, when their Jesus excludes people, they're not preaching the gospel of Jesus. That's something else. I don't recognize that. And I don't want that kind of Jesus leading our nation.
And I don't think most people do. But this might be the weakest argument of them all, okay? Scripture is like a Rorschach test. You see what you want to see, and so did they. Not my Jesus amounts to a no true Scotsman fallacy. You're both appealing to the same authority. That's just not the own you think it is.
But as you saw there, Jerry Taylor and his white supremacist friends feel they have the advantage, 200 or 300 of them, to compared to maybe a dozen protesters. So they feel welcomed here, plus they get an army of law enforcement there to protect their First Amendment rights to have and express those views.
Really eye-opening. Who pays for all that extra law enforcement?
Well, as you might imagine, you and I do.
Yes, it's already quite a mess.
A few years back, the state of Tennessee tried to charge them for the security associated with this conference, but a federal judge ruled that such fees were unconstitutional.
Okay, so this looks really bad, and my state is not alone in this. These groups have their eye on local Republican seats across the country. So, what do we do about it? Well, this is where I found myself inspired. If you tilt your head and squint hard enough to see beyond the hate, these people are not stupid.
Despite their wildly different theological lenses, despite almost being heretical to each other, Allie and Rod band together under the banner of the Christian right to fight their political enemies. Allie just smiles and nods as Rod tells his very outlandish demon story.
You're going to find this hard to believe, but hear me out. My wife is possessed.
That doesn't make any sense to a Protestant, and Rod keeps his mouth shut when Allie calls mysticism paranoia.
Mysticism that is constantly thinking like, okay, when I was little, I would get so paranoid. And
basically, they're willing to brush aside potential heresy because they both want to rid the U.S. of the Democrats.
Yep. Christian right, meet the heathen left. We can debate ourselves blue in the face over how best to enact the equal value of all human life after we are done ensuring its continued existence. Again, our adversaries have understood for a long time that politics is downstream from culture. which is created by the beliefs and practices of everyday people. What really frightens them is something that no amount of political power or military might can touch.
A man approached me in Oxford a couple of years ago, a guy named Daniel Kim. He is an Anglican seminarian from the evangelical tradition, 27 years old. And he said to me, I need to let you know that the new atheism is not the enemy you think it is. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, your generation thinks that's the problem. It was the problem 10, 20 years ago, not anymore. He said, in my generation, the problem is the occult. Nobody he knows, he said, has any interest in new atheism, but they're all engaged in some degree or another with the occult.
Okay, Hitch and Dawkins, your time is up. The witches are taking over.
Woo!
It's my hypothesis, and this is just my hypothesis, that the reason that some Christians, namely evangelicals like Allie and Rod, see the occult as their new enemy is because its existence presents a very real threat to their political aims. Establishing a Christian theocracy is going to be mighty hard with those damn pagans meeting up and organizing and shit.
Hell yeah, it is.
To make matters even worse, the occult and paganism offer an alternative to the Christian faith. New atheism never did that. So not only does the occult threaten the political goals of the Christian right, but it also offers an alternative to the dogma and rigidity of the evangelical church. What's worse than believing in no gods? Believing in the old gods.
Now, the anti-bot is being facetious here. She is an atheist and a skeptic, but I think she's onto something. We have everything they have, including a claim to moral authority based on something beyond theory and statistics. Sure, it's easy for them to all march together. That's kind of their thing. But we all agree on certain things, too. Apparently, we have a whole army of old gods, new gods, spirit guides, and ancestors all telling us the same thing: to learn from the mistakes of the past. We've talked here and there on the channel about how the forced teaming of the feminine and the demonic is just everywhere. And ecofeminism highlights how industrial capitalism is the force of patriarchy, sucking the life-giving energy out of the earth. Well, I am here for the earth. The Trump administration wants to gut the Environmental Protection Agency. And these tools are just going to give them the same justification as they used before. Manifest destiny, prosperity doctrine. Our success means God favors us. God is on our side. Well, screw their God. I've never understood the appeal of worshiping something invisible anyway, that most people never encounter. The earth is real. She is alive. And we are all a part of her. Every race, every class, and every religion. And these people understand that this kind of thinking is dangerous to them, threatens to undermine their precious hegemony.
Trendy narcissism that has manifested itself in a kind of spiritualism and witchcraft and Satanism, all of these kind of religious practices that tell you you can be your own God. There is something bigger and better that you can tap into, but it's not out there, it's inside you. And I can help you unlock that and unleash that. And once you unleash your inner goddess, then you will get everything you want.
Yep.
That's what I see. And you even see it through self-help and self-empowerment books. It's not blatantly satanic, or at least doesn't look like that. It's usually in pink and sparkly.
That's just it. It's not blatantly satanic,
Exactly.
but that's what it is.
So here I am, college-educated white woman, but I am well-grounded in my life in a way that they cannot touch. And I know I'm not alone. Let them come at me with their God, the one who thinks it's his birthright to strip the world for profit. I will meet them with an army of everyone who loves the earth, of everyone who is touched by the beauty of life and wants to protect it. Let them bang on about race and gender roles. Let them try and divide us. We, the earthlings of the heathen left, know better. And we will give them a fight they don't expect. This is the new clear-cut mission of this channel, and if it resonates with you, please subscribe so we can all work together to bring feminism back into the real world, because as you can see, we desperately need it. So thank you so much for joining me. I think those of us on the heathen left need to be doing a whole lot more organizing and meeting up and shit. I'm looking forward to being a big part of it, and I hope you guys will join me. All right, come back at the top of the hour for the live stream where we can keep this going a little longer, and 2 weeks from today at 11 for our brand new video, and I'll see you there. All right, thanks. Bye.